cities, 6,000 miles on this bus. You like that bus? And joining me on so much of this is my dear friend, our Grammy Award-winning Little Joe Hernandez. Little Joe en la familia. Thank you, Little Joe. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And in every city, we have been joined by such great leaders. Now, some of the places I'm going to don't have any local Democrat officials at the state level. So let me tell you how happy I am to be on this stage right now with Roberto Alonso and with my good friend Royce West. And what can I say about Miguel? I mean, the toughest elected position in this state, school board trustee. Thank you so much. And I remember Eddie Bernice. Well, when I got to the legislature, she was still Senator Eddie Bernice Johnson. And she's not going to remember this, but she took me to see the great Barbara Jordan at LBJ school and got me into that training school, that training class. Congresswoman, I will never forget you helping me make my dream come true of spending time with the great Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Two women who were so committed in their role as Congresswomen. I remember that unwavering faith that Barbara Jordan had in our Constitution. And that's why I'm so thankful to be here tonight. It is early vote. We've only got a few days left. And then we've got voting on November 4th. And I think about that precious right that we have in a representative democracy to elect everybody from the school board to the Congress. And I know that that right has been paid for by the men and women who have served generation after generation in our armed forces. So let us thank today those of you who have made it possible for us to have free elections, to live in this freedom. Would all you veterans raise your hand? Any of our veterans here? Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let's thank our veterans for this precious right that we have. Thank you and welcome home. There's some other people here that I had to bring to Dallas, part of our bus trip. My family has joined us, and I'm so proud. Pete and I have been married 37 years, and we have 6 children, 3 sons and 3 daughters. And with me tonight are our daughters, Vanessa and Isabella, and our son, Polito. There she is. There's my Isabella. And they've seen firsthand the crowds that have showed up, the people that are working. And this is in towns like Wichita Falls and Amarillo and Lubbock and Midland. And oh my goodness, they are so excited. They're excited because for the first time in a long time, we have a shot at this. We've got a winning shot at this. It is so close, my friends. I'm proud to have been endorsed by every single major newspaper, including the Wichita Falls paper that hasn't endorsed a Democrat for statewide office in over 24 years, but they endorsed Letecia Vanderpue. And your paper here, oh my, the Dallas Morning, not the most, I mean, a conservative paper, right? So this is the way Dallas Morning News explained it. They said, winter's coming, and you have a choice. You can turn on your old, reliable heater to your house. You know, your families would be safe. They'd be warm. Or, the Dallas Morning News said, that you could dig a pit in your living room, fill it with firewood, and go get some gasoline and matches. They said that's the choice in this lieutenant governor's race. I've never been so proud and happy to be called an old heater in my life. knows what everybody else in this state knows, that Dan Patrick is just plain wrong for Texas. Now, my mother has always taught me that I'm not supposed to say anything bad about somebody, you know. She said, in fact, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. My mama's not here. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about how different these candidates are, right? Well, other than the fact that, I mean, we've got differences in gender, right? And that's apparent because Dan Patrick said he wouldn't even allow an equal pay for equal work bill to come on that Senate floor. Doesn't respect women. I mean, Pete and I have 3 daughters and 3 sons. Why would we want our daughters to be making less than our sons for the same job? But he said no. So he didn't think it was a problem, right? He didn't think voting no on a veterans jobs program was a problem. When I asked him about that veteran entrepreneurship program, I said, Dan, what gives? Why would you vote no? The only senator to vote no on that bill. He said, I'm here to cut. I'm here to cut, to shrink government, to shrink it. I said, these are our veterans. And when they come home, they don't just want a job, they want a career. And there's so many of them. They've got that entrepreneur spirit and they want to start their own businesses. This is a program that helps veterans get their business plans together. And to date has helped 1,600 veterans do that. But Dan, oh, he voted no. Well, I got something for you, Dan.
All right.
You either honor our war heroes and our veterans, or you don't. And there's a difference between talking about it and wrapping yourself in a flag and then voting to help our veterans. You see, for me, patriotism has got to be more than just a bumper sticker, and Dan Patrick doesn't get it. He said no to our veterans. He said no to our women. He said no to children. 2011, budget cuts. He voted no to continue those cuts, right? I mean, said no to the kids. No, no, no. Royce and I, so many of the others, we fought against those cuts. And it hurt. 11,000 teachers lost their jobs. 8,000 class waivers to the Texas Education Association. And you know, the following legislative session, we worked with Republicans. Brought everybody together because guess what? They realized that the price was too high. And we restored some of those funding. Once again, Dan Patrick votes no to our children. You see, there's a big difference in this race. While Dan Patrick sees our school children as a line item on the budget, I see them as the best investment that we can make for the state of Texas. And while he's willing to continue those cuts to higher education, making tuition higher and making college inaccessible for so many families, I know that the future of this state is a workforce that's got something post-high school, right? That's right. And so we want those strong universities. We want those strong community colleges. We need those technical programs, that certification program. That's why I've called for the Texas Promise Plan. That Promise Plan would give every single qualified high school graduate free college tuition at our community colleges for 2 years with that certification program. You see, a one-time investment could change a generation, and we'd have a workforce that's young, that's diverse, that's plentiful, and that's well educated. We would draw every single job to this state. And I know in traveling the state, we may be different in our regions, but we all dream big for our children. We all want them to have the opportunity. And that's what Texas is, right? They want to make sure that the next generation has those opportunities. And that's the big difference in this race. Because you could be like a Dan Patrick, say no, not work well with others, Well, I'm not saying, I'm just saying that one of the other papers yesterday, the nicest thing they could say about Dan Patrick was that he was the most unpleasant individual. Maybe he's given up. I know I haven't. I know for Texas, we dream big, we're bold, and we know that the best days are yet ahead of us. And I would be the lieutenant governor that would honor that. That would make sure that we would stay laser focused on the opportunities for our children. That would make sure that we've got these bridges and highways, because you can't have a 21st century economy with 19th century roads. And we got to vote for that transportation amendment. I hope that you will join us in doing that. We know that you can't define communities and state by those that got water and those that don't. If you don't have the water, folks, you're not going to have the jobs. And we're going to stay laser focused on that water, an adequate water supply. And how about a little health care thrown in? Dan Patrick disrespects the taxpayers because he wants your high-earned IRS dollars to stay away, not bringing them back for critical health care services here that would have created 200,000 jobs. Billions of dollars in health care coming back, but most difficult for me is it when Governor Perry said no to that Medicaid expansion, bringing back those dollars. He said no to 68,000 veterans and their spouses, and that would have been the only accessible and affordable health care for them. And Dan Patrick, all he cares about is saying no. Well, I'm sorry, Dan. You better start loving the people in this state more than you dislike Washington, D.C., because our Texans deserve the health care that they have already paid for. There's limited time out here. We've only got a few days. And there's some big decisions. I want to ask you, would you trust decision-making to Dan Patrick? No! Would you trust decision-making for women to Dan Patrick? No! Would you trust decision-making for veterans to Dan Patrick? No! Would you trust the decision-making for our school children to Dan Patrick? No! Well, then I guess we just better tell Dan Patrick, no! And that's how we're going to win, folks. You are going to call up. How many of you have voted already? How many of you have voted? Yes, thank you. Okay, now that, how many are going to vote before the end of the early vote period? How many are going to vote? Yes. Can you take somebody with you? Can you take 5 people with you? Those of you that have already voted, can you call 5 more people? Can you knock on 5 more doors? Can you call friends that you haven't seen in 10 years? Can you call that cousin you don't really like anyway and tell them that they got to vote? Can you call people across this state? Because I know that people in Dallas have friends all over this state. The big D is the muscle of this state, and I know that people come here from everywhere because of the opportunity, but we've got to have a state and leaders that respect the people enough to show up, to ask for their vote, to show them the issues, and to understand that every single child in this state is precious and deserves the opportunity of an education, of that post-high school education at community college or college. You've got to have a leader that's willing to say yes and not just no. And folks, Letecia San Miguel Vanderpute is just that leader. And the mama in me knows that. The grandma of 6 nearly perfect grandchildren in me know that. The healthcare professional in me knows that as a pharmacist for over 30 years. And the legislator in me knows that. But the Texan in me knows that I am proud to be a Democrat, but when we get to that Capitol, it's not about being on the red team or the blue team, is it, Royce? It's about being on the red, white, and blue Lone Star team and doing right by our state. Thank you. I need you to go vote. I need you to take people to vote. I need you to get on that phone. Thank you so will fight for our children just like they're my own. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all of you. Gracias. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, just to make sure everybody knows, I saw